Nation.
Let's go. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday from the DNVR Buffs crew. Welcome into DNVR Buffs Primetime. We are presented by Illegal Pete's, everyone's go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beers. What is up, chat? Are you still riding the vibes from yesterday? Because I am.
I certainly am. Certainly am riding the vibes.
And we go into this Friday and a massive recruiting weekend. But to talk about recruiting, obviously we got Jordan Seaton. But the most natural question, who's next, Ryan?
A beautiful question. One of the best questions. Look, I'll say this. I think it's going to come from the transfer portal, the next commitment. Huge weekend this weekend. And we'll get into more of the people who are visiting this weekend. But if I have to make my prediction, I'm going to note that this person is visiting this weekend. My prediction for the next person to commit to Colorado is Tyler Johnson.
The offensive lineman out of Houston.
The offensive lineman out of Houston.
I think he played right tackle last year. Yeah, he's visiting this weekend. We'll get to him. I think I got to go Draylon Miller.
Ooh.
There's been a lot of smoke ever since he showed up on campus a few months ago. He keeps on pictures keep on popping up of him on Twitter and like prime gear and stuff. Seems like his family's all bought in. Kind of feels like a matter of time almost.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah.
So Tyler Johnson, 6'5", 320, a junior who did play right tackle for the Cougs this year. And the Buffs have had a lot of interest in Houston offensive linemen.
The last 2 years.
Both, that's what I mean. So maybe they should just I don't know, hire a coach from there or something.
Dana Holgerson's available.
Here we go. But I think they had both. Was it a guard and a tackle last year or both tackles?
So Cameron Johnson, I think, played guard, but he
was
also
their left tackle.
Well, I think he played all over the place.
Okay.
And then I can't remember who the other guys you're talking about.
But Tyler Johnson was really, really good for Houston last year. From Texas, went to Houston. Like I said, 6'5", 320. Kind of ideal size. So he is my prediction. And then you mentioned Draylon Miller.
Yeah.
That's a good one. There's been a discussion in the office the last couple of days because our Dre loves Draylon Miller.
Yep.
Loves him. And, I mean, there's a lot to love about Draylon Miller. But we got into a Boo Carter versus Draylon Miller conversation. He's Team Dre, not surprisingly.
Of course.
And I'm Team Boo.
I don't want to pick a side.
Come on,
Can
bro.
I be Team AB?
You're the tiebreaker.
I want to be Team AB, if anyone.
Okay.
The Atomic Buff. Come on, man.
Is that a thing that people are calling him?
That's what his dad calls him. Shout out to Rob Devon. What's up, Unc? How you doing, bro?
Oh, man.
What is he saying?
I wish we were in Boulder right now doing a show with Unc.
Me too. It'd be this is pregame day.
Yeah, exactly. I woke up. I'm like, oh, it's time to go make some dumb jokes with Uncle Neely.
He says Coach Prime is letting each announcement have their own day so they can get all their shine. You can expect daily announcements. So there you go.
Does that mean we got one coming today?
I mean, we haven't gotten anything else today.
Yeah.
We're due.
I did hear Coach Prime tell that to Unc and Chico. So that's awesome. I love that. Roll out the news one by one. Everyone gets their day. It's perfect for us from a content perspective.
Yeah.
So we'll get to dedicate a whole show to them. But, Unc, if you wouldn't mind sharing with Coach Prime, just let's get these announcements out before 1:30 when we go live on the show.
Yes.
We'll put them in the headline. It'll help their shine even more.
Exactly. Going back to Draylon Miller, though, was committed to Texas A&M for quite a while. Committed there on June 29th. Ends up decommitting on the 17th. I think he came to see you for an unofficial for a game. I can't remember which one. I want to say it was a day game, so Arizona or maybe USC. Then he came back for an official visit last weekend. He's only official visited with CU and LSU since decommitting from Texas A&M. I already mentioned the buzz that he's kind of shown on social as well. He's the 64th overall player. Your guy, though, Tyler Johnson, and I don't know how much weight we put into these things, but the on-3 like transfer prediction thing has CU in the lead for him and the other guy as well.
Let's go.
The other Houston offensive lineman.
The other Houston offensive lineman, maybe they're a package deal or something.
Yeah. Ruben, and then I'm scared to pronounce his last name for being made fun of.
Unije.
I
don't know. You got to just make it sound fancy.
I do, though, and then I look over and you're laughing, and Alyssa's laughing.
I'm
and
laughing at you struggling. That's funny to me. When I see your brain like warping around a name, being like,
because you guys have placed me in my own head and like make me think about this too hard.
You know how like some people call Target Target?
Yes.
If you just go with the fancier sounds, no one will ever complain. Like if someone was like, "Oh, Ryan Königsberg," I would be like, "Oh, that sounds kind of cool." If someone was like Ryan Königsberg, I would be like, "Okay, well that sounds dumb." So you just go with the fancier sounding syllables,
all right,
and no one will get mad.
Noted then.
Unije.
We actually have, for the visitors that we're going to talk about in the next segment, pretty simple names. Anyone else you want to throw out as to being next, though?
Well, there can only be one next.
So you're just going to roll with Tyler Johnson?
Yeah, that's who I think that's my prediction.
All right.
But I also really like the wide receiver who's visiting this weekend.
Will Shepherd.
Yes.
Well, there's actually two. The NC State kid's visiting as well.
Yes. Specifically was talking about Shepherd.
Yeah. Well,
but I don't know. I don't know if he's next.
Okay.
I think that's going to be a battle.
He's one of the most highly coveted players in the portal.
He's got over 2,000 yards in his career.
Yeah. Finished top 5, I think, the last 2 years in receiving, in touchdowns and yards.
I think he's either second all-time at Vandy in yards or touchdowns, receiving touchdowns.
To Jordan Matthews? Is that number 1?
Potentially.
All right, then. Do we talk about Coach Sal then?
It's funny that Bernard's... No, we'll get to Sal later.
Okay.
It's funny that Bernard said the world according to RK because all season, Unk has been just pounding the table, the coffee table, if you will, that I need to make a coffee table book with just my things that I say completely out of context.
Your one-liners?
Yes. He's like, I just know he's sitting there saying, like, one of the pages in the book would say, if you're trying to pronounce someone's name, just say it fancy and no one will get mad.
Fancy and with confidence. The chat's throwing out Jaquan McCroy and then Bryce Underwood as well. Bryce Underwood's scheduled to commit on January 6th. I don't know if the chat and Buff Nation can handle a whole month without a commit, but if it is Bryce Underwood, that'd be a big one.
Well, Jordan Seaton was set to announce on early signing day, and he moved it up maybe because he wanted to have his day.
Yep.
He got the first day. Ooh, Trevor Etienne, that would be fun.
That would be a lot of fun.
Did you see people are on Twitter?
Yeah, did Travis say something else again? Travis Etienne?
I only saw someone tweeted and was like, this is all Big Etienne's fault. I'm rooting against Jacksonville the rest of the season. He was like, it's not my fault.
Let me pull it up.
But I would be so stoked to get Trevor Etienne.
He goes, no, it's not, crying, laughing emoji, but damn, you ain't going to root for us? He's hurt. Because the Florida people are turning on Jacksonville.
I know. Is this like one of those things where it's like, well, now Trevor Etienne can't come to Boulder because it'll look like it was all Travis's fault, and then all of his fans will turn on him?
It's too apparent. I don't know. King Joseph Edwards, he's going to Syracuse this weekend. Syracuse is getting KJ Bolden, 5-star safety, too.
To visit,
yes.
Aren't him and King Joseph teammates?
I think so, yeah. They both play at Buford, I think it is.
Okay.
KJ Bolden is committed to, I want to say, FSU? Yep,
Am I
FSU.
crazy, or has there been like 7 good safeties with the last name Bolden?
I remember there was a Miami kid.
Yeah, Bubba Bolden,
yeah.
Then didn't Coach Prime have a Isaiah Bolden?
Oh, the corner, right?
Oh, he was
at
corner.
JSU?
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
A lot of Boldens out there.
Let's
Ancon
move.
Bolden.
The GOAT Bolden.
Yeah.
Let's move on to visitors, but first a word from our friends at Factor. With the holidays around the corner, everyone gets busy. Less time to cook. Take care of it all with Factor. You can also eat healthier with Factor as well. These meals are all pre-portioned. They're delicious, and there's enough variety to kind of mix it all up and make sure you're not getting sick of them all. What's your favorite Factor meal you've had?
Oh, man. I think I had this isn't my favorite of all time, but I had a chicken bacon ranch or something recently.
Yep.
It slapped.
That one's good. They have this tomato pasta one.
Oh.
Have you had that
I've
one?
only had the keto ones.
Well, that one's fire.
There's
So
a lot of really good ones. They always surprise me. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like this one based on the name. And then I have it. I'm like, oh, that slaps.
Well, everything is good from Factor. And as Ryan said, if you're on keto, they can take care of you there. They got all kinds of options. Head to factormeals.com/DNVR Buffs 50 and use that code DNVR Buffs 50 to get 50% off. That's code DNVR Buffs 50 at factormeals.com/DNVR Buffs 50 to get 50% off. And then shout out to our amazing friends at Game Time. Wherever you may be, you don't have to be in Denver. You could be wherever basketball, hockey, or whatever sporting events, not even just sporting events, shows, concerts, whatever's going on in your city. Check out Game Time to get in the door. And you can take all the guesswork out of buying your tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code BUFFS, BUFFS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code BUFFS, BUFFS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Jake, let me ask you a question.
What's up, bro?
How many offensive linemen, in your eyes, would be too many offensive linemen?
Literally too many?
Too many.
12?
Okay. In addition, I'm talking about in this current recruiting class.
Like with the portal too?
Portal, yeah.
Yeah, 12.
12.
Would be when all right, we're kind of pushing it here.
Okay.
I mean, I really think I'd be fine if they went and tried to get a whole new 2 deep.
Wow. Well, that may happen.
I mean, you lost 2 starters already. We already know the situation at guard wasn't great. Savion could stick around. He could start or be 2 deep. I'm fine with him.
Yep.
So I guess 9 guys. Think anything after that, 10, 11, 12, you're like, all right, what are we really doing here?
There's only so many scholarships.
How many would you say is too many?
I would have said that more than 8 would be overkill. But I think that that might end up happening. Not more, but you might end up seeing a large influx
I'm for
of
it.
offensive linemen.
Let's go.
Yep.
Bring them in. All right, here we go. Visitors visiting this weekend. We've got 10 names here that we found on Twitter.
Tyler Brown also.
Of course, Tyler Brown. The 2 Houston offensive linemen, Tyler Johnson and Ruben Unije, will both be visiting. Both of them 6'5". Ruben Unije, 310. Tyler Johnson, 320. Both of those guys, according to the On3 transfer prediction thing, are favored to land at CU. Both are coming this weekend.
All right. Let's go.
Next, we have Justin Myers. So we had 2 offensive linemen from Houston, 1 from UTEP now here too.
Okay.
He was one of the first guys that CU offered out of the portal. I don't have 2023 stats again, but in 2022 started all 12 games at left guard for the Miners. They had one of the better rushing attacks in Conference USA during that time. He's listed at 6'3", 309. He's a Texas kid from Frisco. And he is rated as a 3-star transfer recruit, 87th overall player, 4th overall interior offensive lineman, according to 247 Sports. 5 offensive linemen total. And these 2 are teammates as well, both from Indiana.
Oh.
Khalil Benson is the first one. He is a redshirt junior this last season. He played in 12 games in 2022. Did not see action in 2021. Had a torn ACL in 2020. I don't have his listing for some reason.
What do you mean his listing?
Like his height, weight.
Oh, okay. I can probably dig that up.
6'6", 310. I got it.
Okay, there you go.
He does not have a transfer ranking yet. Next guy, his teammate at Indiana, Matthew Bedford, he tweeted out that he will be coming to town. He has played all over the offensive line, everywhere but center, in 29 career games at Indiana. Again, that's through 2022. So that number could have gone up. He did not play too many.
Check out our fancy new little 5430 slide.
Yeah, look at that.
If you want portal players, hit the QR code.
Bro, 5430's got to be just going off right now.
Yeah, it's popping, but it's not as popping as Texas A&M.
They need help. Help us, don't help them.
Yep.
But Matthew Bedford has played all over the offensive line. He is listed at 6'6", 305. The
Hell
big
yeah.
boys are coming.
The big boys are. That's what I mean. You're like Coach Prime is not playing when it comes to the offensive line. And I think not only are you going to get a new starting offensive line, but you're also going to have competition for it.
Right.
Which is, I think, so valuable. And sadly becoming a lost art in college football.
Sure.
It's crazy, man. We're not even done with the transfer portal yet in terms of people entering at all. But like, there's going to be some things that happen in the transfer portal that blow your mind.
Oh, yeah.
And it's this combination of nobody wants to compete and everyone has money waiting for them at the end of the rainbow. And it might be like a false thing, but in the end, I hope they're not watching this, but I think everyone knows at this point. You're literally losing money if you don't enter the portal.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
that's the world we've entered.
Yeah, you're right. And this is why I don't think bringing in 10 guys would be too many.
Yeah.
Because what you said, competition. Like, you can bring in guys and you can go, oh, this is going to be our right guard or whatever. But if spring practices come along and that guy's in at right guard and all of a sudden you're going, oh, no, like,
Yep.
we may have made a mistake. Like, you need options.
Yep.
You need many options,
I mean,
not just another one.
Perfect example would be tight end last year.
Sure.
Bring in Zico. You think that he's the answer? He's the number one, I think, tight end in the transfer portal last year, or number two behind that that Georgia kid who went to Nebraska and is
Eric
in jail
Gilbert.
now.
Yeah.
And like within weeks, they knew that he wasn't their guy, and they didn't have any other guys.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, they're going to bring in a lot of competition there. As you were reading off those specs on those players, I was just thinking, like, I think the number one thing that I want, and obviously there's more to it than this, is just like players over 300 pounds.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
Like, it was something that we were really lacking last year.
Yes.
I just want like a squad of players who you can roll off first off the bus, and the other team is thinking to themselves like, shit,
Yep.
those guys are big.
I mean, it was a topic all off season. We showed that chart, remember, of like the height and weight and where all the schools kind of lined up to the average, and
Yep.
CU was below average when it came to weight.
Yeah, I mean, slightly,
Right.
but
It was noticeable on the football field, though.
it was. And here's the thing: is like last year's goals and this year's goals are very different.
For sure.
Last year's goals was let's return to relevance, and obviously that happened. This year's goal, as stated by Coach Prime, is to make the playoff.
Yep.
And you don't get to make the playoff if you're below average size-wise. So we need to stock up on the big boys.
Dave DeBoss asks if any tight ends are coming this weekend. Well, there is one. His name is Shaman Matire? Matire? Read this name, bro.
There's just no way that was... Okay. Shaman Mateer.
Okay.
You said it like he was someone who's like... I don't know. Well, what's a shaman?
I don't know.
I feel like that... I don't know.
We're getting into uncharted territory here, bro.
What is that? A person regarded as having access to influence in the world of good and evil spirits. That's what I was asking you.
Shaman Matire.
Tiff is on the ones and twos today, by the way.
Hi, friends.
Yeah, you said it like he was connected to the spirits. So shaman
I mean, this could be a spiritual addition because this is a tight end that comes in at 6'5", 248.
Oh, yes. Sign me up. Too many offers out there to tight ends who are like 6'3", 235.
That's all they've been offering so far.
I don't like it.
He is a former Cincinnati Bearcat. In 2023, he had 23 receptions for 258 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Joke's on you, AJ. It's me.
He was a 247 Sports Composite 4-star in the 2021 class. He's listed as a 3-star transfer. Or actually, doesn't have a transfer rating yet.
Someone said, Shimon, man.
All right, Will Shepherd.
Yeah.
Again, one of the more coveted players in the entire portal. He has a 4-star transfer rating from 247 Sports. 34th player in the portal. 6th overall wide receiver. Was a 3-star recruit back in 2020. He's been one of the most productive receivers in the SEC since he's shown up at Vanderbilt. I believe this is a grad transfer. He's played 4 years.
Yeah.
Last year, 47 receptions for 684 yards and 8 touchdowns.
8 touchdowns.
Yeah, in his career.
That would have led the Buffs, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
In his career, 152 receptions, 2,067 yards, and 21 touchdowns. Listed at 6'3", 200.
Yeah, sign me up. That's your Zay replacement.
Need it.
Your Zay placement. Also, you got a shaman and a shepherd.
Yeah.
You can go places.
You also have Terrell Timmons. We talked about him yesterday. Former NC State wide receiver, was only a 3-star coming out. I think only had like 200 yards last year. What now?
The comments are just cooking today. The one from Mo sent me. Shimon.
We have another set of teammates coming in this weekend too. They are brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Destin Wade, who's a quarterback. He was a 4-star recruit. And then Keaton Wade, he's an outside linebacker. Let's start with the quarterback. Was a 2022 recruit out of Tennessee. Was a 2-4 Sports Composite 4-star, 418th overall player. Went to Kentucky, obviously. I think he played in 1 game this last year. Redshirted the year before. And then Keaton Wade, listed at 6'5", 250. He was also a 4-star recruit. Again, obviously plays outside linebacker. As a recruit, though, same class, 2022. Top 200 player, 19th overall linebacker in the class. His stats over the last year, let's see. So last year, 35 total tackles, had 1 sack. Seems like a rotational player.
I feel like he played more the year before, maybe.
2023, 13 games played, fewer tackles.
Okay.
But had 1.5 sacks, 2.5 tackles for a loss, 1 pass defense as well.
Destin and Keaton is a very Gen Z name for 2 twins.
Yes, it is. Tennessee kids, though, they're coming out.
Smash that like button, y'all.
Hit the like button and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Anyways, there's your 10 names who are visiting this weekend.
And I think there's more.
Yes.
Stay tuned. Always good to subscribe to our guy Adam at 247 Sports.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Munster Tiger. He always has this stuff first, at least from my experience. So check it out. But I think I heard 15 to 17 guys would be coming this weekend.
Yep.
So more to come.
Yeah, keep an eye on Twitter. There's just going to be a random transfer who posts a picture of him in uniform hanging out at CU.
Yep. I like this part of the season.
This is a fun part of the season, man.
Yeah. Is this about... Man, it seems like that would be such a quick turnaround from when Coach Prime was hired, but is this about when we had that first transfer recruiting weekend? Like Taj Alston?
So the first transfers we got were on the 18th and 19th of December. It was Taj Alston and Levante Bentley.
So we're 10 days ahead of schedule on that.
We didn't even... Dylan flipped on the 10th.
Wow.
So we had Winston Watkins like the night of, right?
Yeah.
But it was like he's a 2025 kid. Like,
wasn't there also a defensive lineman right off rip? Brantley or something?
I feel like they did commit early, but yeah, they're still committed. 2024 kids.
Okay.
It's all kind of a blur at this point. But yeah, if you want to... I mean, we got Jordan Seaton before they even had the Dylan flip this time last year. And this is just the advantage of having a coaching staff already in place. Like, Coach Prime doesn't have to go trying to find his coaches all over the country right now. He gets to actually just focus on recruiting and bringing kids in.
Yep.
All right, shout out to our presenting sponsor, Illegal Pete's. I went like 3 weeks without Illegal Pete's.
Oh my God.
I know, and I went 2 days ago with Andre and Parker. I think I'm about to go back again today.
Oh, I had a late breakfast, but I might be in.
All right, let's make it happen. Illegal Pete's is running a pretty cool promotion. If you head to a Buffs basketball game this season, bring your ticket into any Illegal Pete's location. You can get a free house margarita or draft beer with their sound check promo. Illegal Pete's is your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beers. And then shout out to Olipop.
Oof.
Olipop's a new kind of soda. Can help improve your gut health. It's also delicious. And they've got tons and tons and tons of flavors. It's got 9 grams of prebiotics in every can. Only 2 to 5 grams of sugar from natural sources. Try some of our favorites. The root beer, the cream soda, the classic grape. The orange squeeze. We got vintage cola. Tons and tons of them. We got them at our DNVR tailgates. Come out, hang out with us. If you want to buy them in store, use the code DNVR20. You can get 20% off your next Olipop order on drinkolipop.com, or you can find them in over 22,000 stores across the country, including King Soopers, Safeway, Walmart, Target, Whole Foods, and Sprouts.
Root beer Olipop sounds good right now.
A lot of things sound good right now.
A couple comments that I saw.
Someone said reverse nachos.
Yep. Shout
Eric,
out
let's
reverse
go.
nachos. What did I just see? Oh, someone said, Sean Camp said, what are the chances of someone committing live on DNVR Buffs? There's one person I'm confident that we could get to commit live on DNVR Buffs. I just don't know if we're going to get him.
Okay. Either way, we'll have. I'm sure we'll have some commits.
Also, someone else,
on the show.
I think it was David, asked about if we talked about Trevor Etienne. We did.
Yeah.
One thing about Trevor Etienne that I'll say is could end up becoming a more important target.
Could be a more important argument.
Could end up becoming more important because remember yesterday
Yeah.
the conversation was, well, do you even need him? You know. So there you go.
Yeah. All right. This rumor, I just missed this yesterday. I saw it last night though. But Sal Sinceri could be moving on. We had Tim Brewster join Biff Poggi out over at Charlotte with that coaching staff. And Sal Sinceri may be the next one to go join them. Footballscoop.com reported this yesterday afternoon that sources have told them that Sal Sinceri is their top target to join Biff Poggi's staff over at Charlotte, obviously to coach the defensive line. Coach Sal, very long time college football coach, very experienced. Of course, joined CU from Alabama, but could be on the move, Ryan.
First of all, Biff Poggi is like, that's just a random name generator.
He seems like a college football like NPC.
Yes.
Like an extra in the like dynasty mode, or your high school coach in dynasty mode in NCAA.
Yes. Even then, it's like a little too creative for that. I would understand if this is what ends up happening. A move closer to home for Sal, much like it was for Tim Brewster.
Yep.
And so you can't hate if that's what ends up happening. Obviously, the next follow-up question is, what does that mean for Warren Sapp? It would be interesting to me, and I think I would even go as far as to say surprising to me, if Warren Sapp walks in and immediately is off in a full-time coaching position.
Yep.
So you can look at that one of two ways. You can say, okay, well, then that makes Sal a bigger loss. But you can also look at it as, okay, that opens up a spot on the coaching staff for, like for me, I would talk about like Chidera Uzo-Diribe,
Right, yeah.
Young, hot shot, former Buff, incredible recruiter. He's obviously at Georgia right now.
Yep.
But so, people forget, I think, that Sal was quote unquote a replacement. Was it
Patrick Hill.
He
was hired from LSU and then got hired by the Minnesota Vikings. I think he was only in CU for like a month.
Yeah. So Sal came after that.
Yes.
And it just reminds you of, Coach Prime's very vast network.
Exactly.
He was able to immediately pivot from Hill, was super stoked for him. No sour grapes there. And get someone else. So, it's one of those things where it's like, love Sal. Certainly want him to be back if that's, going to happen. But if not, then you're back out there looking for someone good.
I mean, you just nailed it. I'll just reemphasize the fact that Coach Prime's coaching network and his just contacts throughout the football universe are endless almost. So even if this does happen, I'm sure that someone will be lined up and put in a good position to coach up some defensive linemen. And again, to your Sap point, I don't think he would come in as a defensive line coach either. Or I'd be surprised, I guess, if he comes in and is outright the defensive line coach. Yeah. But getting another NFL player and potentially another or two of them, if you get Sap as an analyst and maybe, I don't know, another former NFL player who's coaching somewhere to come in and coach the defensive line.
That's what I mean. It's like it could end up being twice as good.
Yes, exactly.
Because I think Warren Sapp will be involved for sure and on campus. But it's rare to go directly into a full-time coaching position.
Yep.
Now, again, I'm not saying Warren Sapp with a gold jacket can't do it. It just doesn't normally happen. You usually start as an analyst or a grad assistant, and then you work your way up to those larger positions. Warren Sapp could be a different case, or maybe you end up doubling down and getting the best of both worlds.
Right.
Did you catch? We got a couple little interesting tidbits from the Prime documentary, but one I just thought of.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I don't like tall running backs. I want short, stocky running backs."
Savion Wilkerson.
Yeah, it was interesting. I like just filing those little tidbits away for the future.
But then he does bring in Alton, and we know he's projected to pretty much be the bell cow next year.
Yep.
That's what Smoke was too, though. Kind of short, squatty, thicker running back.
Well, and Hank, who ended up starting.
Of course, yeah. What is ETM profile as? Would you call him a short, squatty running back?
I don't know. I feel like he's more of a
I tuned out of
hitter.
Florida early this year, so I didn't watch too much Florida after.
I mean, he's definitely not tall.
Yeah.
5'9", 205.
There you go.
I think Coach is maybe talking more like 225.
Mm-hmm.
But he is not tall. But he also is really explosive, just like his brother was.
Yep. And then one little more thing about recruiting. 2025 4-star or 3-star wide receiver Jaden Robinson out of California has put the Buffs in a top 8 with Pitt, Arizona, Wazoo, Texas, ASU, Cal, and Utah. A lot of former Pac-12 schools in there.
Yeah. RIP.
Who have all splintered. Did you see that 247 updated their rankings or their Pac-12 rankings? So it's literally just Oregon State and Washington State in the Pac-12 rankings?
No, that's silly.
It looks pretty ridiculous. All right. This happened earlier in the week.
By the way, just for your use on Twitter, if you're the type of person who likes to interact with trolls, Colorado still the #1 average star rating in the Big 12 next season.
Yep.
Don't worry about the overall ranking, which takes into account the size of the class, because Coach Prime has told you from day one that it's going to be a small high school class to keep room for the transfer portal.
Well, and also when it comes to these recruiting rankings, find the rankings that are the portal and the recruits together. Because that's what it is in this day and age. You can look at the recruiting rankings, but you need them all together.
Yep.
All right, Coach Prime went on the Dan Lebertard show earlier in the week. Basically promised that CU would be in the college football playoff this next year.
Let's go. Why would you set the expectations any lower? Because if you win the conference, you're in the playoff.
Yes.
And every team should enter, at least every legitimate team should enter the season expecting to win their conference.
Yep. But he was asked about the obviously the committee's decision on Sunday to leave out Florida State. Said, I want those problems. Give me those problems. He's right, though.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much been his goal since last year, like since he got here. He's mentioned winning a national title, competing for national titles. Obviously, with the 12-team playoff, I mean, you got the at-larges and everything. So I think this year, like LSU would have made it or would have been first team out, and they were a 3-loss team. So there's a path for many teams to make the playoff this next year.
Did someone just do like their projected, if there were 12 type of thing?
I mean, I could just read them off to you if you want from the rankings.
Okay.
So we have your conference title winners. That'd be Alabama in the SEC. That'd be Michigan in the Big Ten. Florida State in the SEC or ACC. Big 12 would be Texas, and Pac-12 would be Washington. And then your G5 automatic qualifier this year would be Liberty.
Okay. Liberty was kind of electric.
Liberties?
Yeah.
I didn't watch much Liberty this year. After that, your at-larges this season would have been Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Mizzou, and Penn State. How many is that? Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Mizzou, Penn State, and then Ole Miss. So LSU would have been outside looking in with Oklahoma. Those would have been your first two out.
Wow. I would love to see that Oklahoma pain. That would be amazing. The 12-team playoff is going to be one of the best things ever.
I can't wait. I mean, I like the playoff field this year quite a bit. I think it's going to be an entertaining playoff, but just having... Did they confirm we're playing on campus for the first round too? Is that a thing?
I think so.
Even better then.
Can you imagine a playoff game in Boulder? Oh my God.
I really don't think I can.
Can I have a couple college football takes.
Rattle them off for us, bro.
Okay, my first college football take is that it is insane that Jaden Daniels is running away with this Heisman.
I couldn't agree more.
Now, that is taking nothing away from him. He was awesome this year. I want to make that very, very clear. But let's not act like this is like no contest. How is Michael Penix not smack dab in the middle of this race?
I don't know. It makes no sense to me.
We're talking about a 3-loss team versus an undefeated team. I realize it's not all about that. The stats are comparable. And you can definitely make the case that the Pac-12 was a better league than the SEC this year.
No doubt.
So why is Michael Penix Jr. just being talked about like he's an afterthought in the Heisman race?
I'm completely with you. We recorded the draft pod today and talked about this exact thing. About how, first off, my take was this is the worst Heisman race we've had in quite some time.
Okay.
Because if Jaden Daniels, like, again, all respect to him, but this is a 9-3 team. Like, he would have been out of a 12-team playoff.
Yes.
Like, completely irrelevant to the national landscape of college football.
How many Jaden Daniels games have you personally watched this year?
I watched the FSU game for sure, and probably the Alabama game. Honestly, until he got hurt in the Alabama game, and then I saw the Florida highlights for sure.
What I was going to say is I don't even think he's played in like big games.
No, and
other than the Florida State one.
Well, and they lost the Alabama game. He got knocked out of it, of course, but like all their big games, they lost this year.
And again, that does not mean that he hasn't played amazing, but I hate this whole conversation that is over. I'm trying to look for the odds right now. I guess they're not up anymore. But maybe they took him down because it was literally like Jaden Daniels minus 2,500 to win.
It probably is though. I mean, Michael Penix beat Oregon twice as underdogs, and then beat USC with Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams didn't play great that game. They beat a ranked Utah team and a ranked Oregon State team as well. I don't know. It makes no sense to me.
I think that's such a bummer.
And then is your other take on what happened on Sunday with Florida State?
Yes.
Let's hear it, because you're right.
Can we not act like making the college football playoff award is some lifetime, or making the college football playoff is some lifetime achievement award where it's like, oh, you earned it or you deserved it? Like, the whole reason we created the college football playoff committee was so that they can use their brains to try and give us the best 4 teams. Thankfully, moving on from that this year, it was 4 was never enough, but the best 4 teams to compete for a college football national championship. Anyone with eyes knows that Florida State is a completely different team without Jordan Travis, and no one would make the case that they're one of the 4 best teams without him on the field. And you would make that case for anyone. And someone said, well, what if the Buffs were undefeated and they had lost Shedeur just like they did at the end of the season? Like, what would you be doing? Of course, I would be pounding the table for the Buffs to be in. But in the back of my mind, I would know Ryan Staub ain't taking us to the promised land.
Exactly.
So I think it is insane that people are pearl clutching over this, because this is the entire point of having a committee. Now, do you want to go back to the BCS?
No. God, no. That was terrible.
BCS was terrible. So instead of leaving it up to a computer and basing it off this, that, and the other thing in record, we decided, let's let humans use their brains. And with their brains, they knew that FSU minus Jordan Travis is not a top 4 team. They are not one of the 4 best teams in the country without Jordan Travis. So I feel bad for the players because it's not their fault. They didn't do anything. But we have to be honest about who they actually are without Jordan Travis on the field. And the committee was right to say that they aren't one of the 4 best teams.
I'm with you. And look, Bryson says, why play the games then? And I understand, like, the game should matter the most. I do get it. These are extraneous circumstance. Like, this doesn't happen to every team.
I know. Acting like the games don't matter because a player got injured doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, look, if Jordan Travis didn't get injured, they probably would have made the playoff over Alabama, who lost to Texas, which is why Texas should be ahead and is ahead of Alabama's, because they beat them on the field.
Yes, so the games do matter.
Yes.
No one is making the case that the games don't matter, and everyone can agree that if Jordan Travis was on Florida State, they would be playing in the college football playoff.
No doubt.
But this has happened every single year in the college basketball NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Every year a team has a big injury and they fall off their seed line. Now, it's a little different because there's only 4 teams. If there was a 12-team playoff, Florida State would still be in. But there isn't, and there is a part of this where they have to decide who are the actual 4 best teams. It's not all record-based. If this was the BCS, they'd probably be in because they had the best record.
They would be. I just looked it up.
Yep.
So if the BCS was still in place, the top 4 would be Michigan, Washington, Alabama, Florida State.
There you go. But
they do have Alabama over Texas.
there's a reason that we put humans in here. And I think that they made the right decision.
Someone else had a comment earlier when we were talking about
the Heisman. You know who had
the
the best take out of everyone on this?
Who?
Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, God, please.
Did you know what the take was?
What'd he say?
The take was, if Coach Prime was Florida State's head coach, they'd still be in the playoff.
That is true.
And that is so true.
To go back to the Heisman real quick, though, someone had a point, like RG3 and some other guys have been able to win the Heisman while not being in the national landscape. But it's like, those were without a doubt like the best players in college football that year. I don't know if you can say that about Jaden Daniels.
And again, I'm not anti Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman. I'm really not. Mm-hmm. I'm anti the idea that it's not even a conversation.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't that good. He was incredibly good. But not like all bets are off. Cash in your Jaden Daniels tickets.
I mean, Michael Penix led the nation in passing. He beat Bo Nix twice. He's the Heisman in my eyes.
Yes. I should have brought up this Florida State thing. But like the idea that they beat 2 SEC teams this year, and I realized one of them was without Jordan Travis, but that was Florida, who's mid as fuck.
Look, man, the
But them
ACC
beating LSU has nothing to do with this.
No, and the ACC title game showed it. The guy passed for 55 yards. They couldn't move the damn ball.
Yeah.
No one wants to watch that in the playoff. I'm sorry.
Yep.
That sealed it.
I don't know if we're referring to Jaden Daniels, who was better. I would make the argument that Penix was better, or at least good enough to be in the conversation.
Of course.
And I love Jaden Daniels. I literally, one of my first orders of business when we opened PHNX was we got to get an NIL deal with Jaden Daniels because this guy is the truth.
Yeah.
He was at ASU at the time. And then when we essentially started going down that road, we found that he probably wasn't long for ASU. So I'm big on Jaden Daniels. I love him as a college football player. But I think it's weird that we're talking about him as the undoubted winner of this. And maybe I'm just getting too caught up in the Vegas odds. But it feels like it's completely over. I'm glad you know what my ultimate take about all this is when it comes to the playoff? I am sad that we will never get to do this again. Because this debate about whether or not Florida State should be in or not is like the best sports debate I can remember in a while.
I mean, we would be having this debate. It'd be about LSU, though.
No. Because no one's going to be
Why is number 13 LSU not in the playoff?
And like that will happen, but it won't be nearly as heated. Because everyone's going to know the 12th team that's getting in isn't going to have a chance to win it.
That's true, I guess. But there's still going to be some debate. It's not going to be as heated and as, I guess, actually relevant and meaningful as it is now. But
who's going to win?
The championship?
Yep.
Michigan.
I knew you would say that.
They've been the best team all year.
I got Washington.
No.
Yep.
I think the winner of the Michigan-Alabama game wins the national title.
Okay. I think Washington wins.
All due respect to Washington, I think that I would take, every other team in the playoff over them to win it.
I think that you're getting caught up in old conference
I think that
tropes.
No, I think the other three teams are much better in the trenches.
Washington protects the hell out of Penix.
I mean, yeah, they play great football. I love Washington. I love Michael Penix. They've got great receivers too, but I just think that Michigan would be able to control the football. Alabama would be able to control the football. So would Texas.
All right. I think that that Penix is easily the best quarterback in the mix. And that's going to end up being the difference maker.
Yeah. We'll see.
I'm excited for it. This is one of the first years in a while that there's not like just a team that feels like they're destined to win it.
Right. You're in on the Alabama over Georgia to get in the playoff, though? Just with the win in the SEC title game?
Do the games matter?
I mean, I get it, but still at the same time, that team won 29 straight games. Like,
I think it's a really unfortunate year for that to happen to Georgia. Because I think almost any other year of the playoff, they could have still been in. Mm-hmm. There's nothing I hate more than when a team that didn't win their conference championship gets in, though.
I get it.
Like, that just feels wrong to me.
Just feels wrong that one of the best teams that we know in the country is not in the playoff, too, at the same time.
I was just triggered. Nebraska, in 2001, literally went to the national championship game without even playing for the conference championship. They didn't make the conference championship game, and they played Miami for the national championship. This is why we need people with brains.
This is why we just need a 12-team playoff. This shit is so overdue.
Yeah.
Like 25 years overdue.
Why did we ever not just go directly into the 12-team playoff? The 14-team playoff was
I don't know.
dumb.
No, it was a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
It made no sense.
The Dogs lost the time.
All right. Shout out to our friends at Snarf's. Our great friends at Snarf's. At Snarf Burger as well. They just make some of the best sandwiches in town. Some of the best burgers as well. Perfect meat, cheese, bread ratio. They're all over the city. They're in Boulder as well. So stop by into their locations. When's the last time you had Snarfs?
Last week I got the French dip.
Yeah.
So good.
Last time I had Snarfs was when we did the Washington State watch along. I got the pastrami.
Mm-hmm.
God damn.
Also fire.
Yeah.
Also fire.
And then our friends at Circus Sportsbook, the premier adults-only casino in Las Vegas. One of the coolest places in the world, honestly.
Wait,
Stadium
how
Swim.
am I countering myself? Please tell me. Just you can keep going.
Stadium Swim is amazing. They got one of the coolest sports books as well, one of the biggest sports books. And casinos, 7,000 square feet with 2 levels, over 1,300 slots and 48 table games. They also have 500 plus luxury rooms. If you're heading out there to hang out with us for the Broncos season finale against the Raiders, or Avs Knights, the Pac-12 tournament, or if you're a Mountain West alum, book your stay with code DNVR20 and you can get 20% off. Also, check out the Circus Sportsbook app that's available in Colorado. You can download the app now at circusports.com. Circus Sports bets can only be made while physically located in the state of Colorado. Must be 21 or older. All rights reserved. Circus Sports Colorado encourages you to gamble responsibly. If you have a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER or visit problemgamblingcolorado.org.
The other take about this that bothers me is like, I guess September football just doesn't matter at all. And it's like, can't we just meet in the middle and say it matters less?
Yes.
Isn't that true of all sports?
Absolutely. You're learning who you are throughout the season.
Yeah.
Like, teams evolve.
Yeah.
Or devolve.
I guess in professional sports, every game technically counts the same because in the end of the year, it's all based on record.
Yeah, it's all in the standings.
But again, looking at the NCAA tournament, what you do at the beginning of the year has always mattered less than what you do at the end of the year.
You see it all the time. Remember, I think the year Ohio State won the national title, the first CFP year, they lost to Virginia Tech in the first game.
Yep.
And then ended up winning and cleaning up the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, it happens.
I'm curious if anyone who is, passionately on the side that FSU should have been in the playoff actually believes they had a chance to win.
That's the thing. They don't. I don't think they would have, honestly, even if they had Jordan Travis, they would have been put up more of a fight.
They were nice with him.
I really think the teams like Alabama and Michigan Georgia are on a different level in the trenches, and you just see that play out so often in the playoff.
Florida State's pass rush is pretty crazy. Also, Jordan Travis probably would have been the Heisman winner, right? If he doesn't get hurt.
He definitely would have been in New York.
Yeah. So I think this might have worked out the best case scenario for Florida State. You get to throw this whole fit. No one cares. It doesn't actually impact anything. All you got to do is prove you can beat a team that didn't make the playoff, and then you get to claim a national championship.
Whoever wins that damn Peach Bowl better not do that shit.
Well, Georgia doesn't get to lay claim. If you go undefeated, though,
stop. No.
Look, I'm not going to acknowledge it, but they get to say they get to say it.
I literally already had this conversation today, bro.
UCF has it in their stadium,
and it's
they weren't
ridiculous.
even Power 5,
and it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. But if they're claiming it, and the NCAA, according to UCF fans, I don't know if this is actually true, like acknowledges it. Florida State absolutely gets to do that. Again, you don't have to acknowledge it or say that it's real, but they absolutely get to claim a national championship, which they were never going to have any claim to a national championship if they played in the playoff, because they were going to get mopped in the first round.
If you claim a false national championship, you should be placed under a bowl ban for 3 years.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Like, go ahead and claim it. You don't get to go bowling anymore now, though, because you can't just make up the rules like that.
I guess. And then the other take is, what about TCU? Everyone thought that they didn't belong in the playoff last year. They had their Heisman candidate quarterback.
Michigan should have won that game, too.
Based on what?
Based on if JJ doesn't throw 2 pick sixes.
But he did.
I know, but I'm just saying.
But for me, I'm like, okay, well, TCU didn't have a catastrophic injury that
Right.
completely derailed their season, or not derailed their season, but derailed their quality.
Mm-hmm.
If Max Duggan is injured, I guarantee you they don't make that playoff.
Score probably would have still been the same in the national title game, though.
Yep. And then the other take is Florida State should have never disclosed that Jordan Travis had a season-ending injury.
Bro!
But it was pretty obvious. based on the
Exactly.
video.
The dude's leg is hanging like this
Should've just said
on national television.
Dislocated leg.
Oh my God. No. Florida State fans are crazy. I'm sorry.
I am on team, like, they should have come out and been like, doctors have said that he might be able to return in a month.
The Aaron Rodgers treatment.
Then you could just say, it didn't work out.
Oh,
And then,
man.
right, imagine that right now. Then the take is like, what? The College Football Playoff Committee is doctors? They can determine how serious the injury was? And that's a better take.
Oh, now I'm being called delusional.
TCU didn't win the Big 12 last year?
I thought they did. I thought they beat Kansas State.
That would be crazy.
How else would they have made the playoff? They went 9-0 in the Big 12. I'm pretty sure they did.
Well, still, I guess.
Oh, they did lose in the Big 12 title
Oh
game.
my God, that's garbage.
Overtime to Kansas State.
I'm on the team they shouldn't have been in.
No one knows what goes on in college football anymore. It's just
I personally don't think you should be able to be in without winning your conference championship. But again, that's in the 4-team format. The 4-team format is over. So now we'll be able to get much more into the weeds about who deserves to be in, and winning your conference championship is just an auto bid.
TCU did not beat Michigan easy. I promise you that. Go watch the highlights.
That game was sick. Both games last year were sick.
The semifinals, yeah. Yep.
And then the final was terrible.
I think we're going to have a great playoff this year. I'm excited. We
I
got
think so,
bowl
too.
games starting next weekend, I believe, on the 16th. So we have Army-Navy tomorrow. Of course, America's game. And then we finally get to put a cap on this season. All right, let's get to questions.
Who was fifth last year?
Fifth in the...
College football playoff rankings.
I
read
can
these
look
while you
this
look
up.
that
Yeah,
up.
go ahead.
Hit the thumbs up even if you disagree with our college football takes. All right. Do we have super chats we need to hit? Here we
Yep.
go. First one from Logan Brown says, we need Byron Leftwich as our OC. Let's make this happen. You know, I'll say this on OC. We don't know what it is yet, but there is a reason why Coach Prime hasn't made it official with Pat
No doubt.
Shurmur yet.
No
Now,
doubt.
I'm being honest when I tell you guys I don't know the reason for that. But someone somewhere is leaving the door open for something.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's Coach Prime leaving the door open because he's waiting to see if someone else is interested in the job. Maybe it's Pat Shurmur leaving the door open because he thinks he's in a head coaching, NFL or college head coaching mix. I truly don't know. But the door is being left open for a reason.
Yes. I mean, look at all the names I wrote up in that article last week. They're all former head coaches who I'm sure are trying to get other head coaching jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're people like Byron Leftwich who spent a year out of the NFL who think I could probably just get right back in.
Yeah.
Same with Pat Shurmur. He probably thinks, well, if there's an NFL OC gig or a head coaching gig, I'd much rather have that. Obviously. He's coached in the NFL way more than he's coached in college football.
That's correct. And Byron Leftwich, you know, there's some buzz around him for the Steelers.
Yep.
So maybe that's a holdup. There's a holdup, though. So until they send out a press release, or I guess you don't even have to do that because you would just be...
Neely, someone wrote it for the pregame show. And
What?
that's how... Or no, so that was for Dancy. Brian wrote up an article that confirmed
Right, until
local.
something comes out that says it's official,
Yes.
it's not official.
Yes. Alabama was 5 last year. They were 11-2.
Ooh, so it was 1 loss versus 2 loss for the last
Well,
spot.
we had... So last year, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 were all 11-2. Ohio State got in at 4, and then it was Alabama, Tennessee, Penn State, Washington.
So, okay, so you couldn't put in Kansas State.
No,
because they
went 10-4.
Right. Alabama lost in the SEC championship game to Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia went undefeated.
So they were out. So who was the conference championship that had a claim to that fourth spot, or the conference champion that had a claim to that fourth spot?
I guess Washington. I think, man, going back a year at this point.
Yeah, whatever. It's old news.
Washington beat Oregon in the Pac-12 title game last year to go to 11-2. I think it just went down to Michigan, Ohio State, because obviously that they lost that game. Ohio State did, and that was their second loss or first loss of the year to that point. So, because they lost to Georgia in the playoff game.
Yep.
So those are their two losses. So they were a one-loss team.
Okay.
So it was either between Ohio State and Alabama, and then I think Alabama was only
But it makes a little more sense how TCU got in with one loss as a non-conference champion, that there were no other conference champions that had a great case. Yeah. Anyways,
yeah. The Ashanti mom says, Coach Prime said he was getting the big boys for the trenches. Do you believe now?
I've always believed.
We have always believed.
I believed they were getting Jordan Seaton even after he wasn't on the graphic.
Do you remember that part of last offseason where we were kind of being questioned as believers?
No, I don't.
What do you mean you don't? Like this time last year.
Well, we had to, whatever.
Big Teasy says, you think it's bad now? Imagine if FSU smokes Georgia. Ooh-wee, the drama will be major. If FSU got smoked, everything is justified. What do you think?
I would love that. Because I'm just here for the chaos.
Yeah.
Like, anyone who disagrees with me in the comments, you probably have a valid point to stand on.
Sure.
I'm not saying there's not a valid reason why people would say that FSU should be in. If FSU beats Georgia,
that'd be insane.
It would be incredible. The debate would be incredible. It's just not going to happen.
No.
Unless Georgia... Well, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to build in an excuse for them.
Well,
Gotta win. Gotta go win.
If Carson Beck doesn't play and like all this stuff, then...
Yeah, that's a legitimate concern. But, everyone's already saying, like, well, if Florida State wins, they'll just say that Georgia didn't care about the game,
That is true.
So I'm not doing that. But if Florida State wins, they have an incredible case.
I think this is one of the things I love the most about college football is there's always an argument on either side. And you can always like really dig in your heels on either side you're on.
Do you think other sports that have like defined, there's no decisions that have to be made to decide who makes the playoff are jealous about all the publicity college football got this week of just everyone debating this to their wits' end? Like
the MLB, they got to deal with this wild card race, and then that team's out after like 2 games, and college football gets like 3 weeks of discussion just on who's going to be in. Yeah. Big TZ again says, funny thought, FSU claiming a natty UCF.
Yep.
That would be, we can't allow that to happen again.
And the thing is, like, if FSU wins that game against Georgia, that's beating a team that, like I said, in any other year would have been in the college football playoffs.
True.
So they'll have a great little claimed national championship. Undefeated, beat the defending champs. Kind of crazy.
So when LSU beat UCF in the Peach Bowl or whatever the year after that game, why wasn't LSU crowned? Why did they crown themselves as national champs?
Were they undefeated?
No, but they beat the defending national champion in a bowl game.
They weren't undefeated. Because if you lose a game, then everyone can just say you shouldn't have lost that game.
So ridiculous, man.
But no one can make the case that you shouldn't have had your quarterback get injured.
I love college football, though. I love the drama.
Dude, that's what I mean. I'm here for it. I want Florida State to, as someone who doesn't think Florida State belongs in, I am cheering for them to beat Georgia just because I'm here for the chaos.
Team Chaos, baby. Oh, what a week on this show.
It has
so
been a
up
week.
and down. Oh,
has
my God.
been a week.
We started off this week basically talking about this stuff, talking about the playoff with Dre and wondering about Jordan Seaton. We end up getting Jordan Seaton. And I guess we end it the way we started, talking about the playoff.
Exactly.
which is the goal next year. Do it for Peggy.
Do it for Peggy. Man, so I finally got around to, not to extend this too long, but I finally got around to watching episode 1
Oh, what'd you think?
last night. So good.
Yeah,
But basically anytime Peggy is involved in something, I cry.
I know.
And
She's a sweetheart.
especially when Betty gets brought up. So
I know.
that part was tearjerker for sure.
My favorite part's always that first meeting with her and Prime, and she goes, "Are you Prime?"
Yeah. And she goes, "What do I call you? Primetime Deion?" He goes, "You can call me anything you want." She goes, "How about good looking?"
She's amazing. All right, chat. It's a big weekend. Stay alert. We'll be back on Monday to break it all down.
Stay on your toes.
Stay on your toes.
Could be anything at any time.
Let's go Buffs.
Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.